Right, in the past few weeks, we have seen COVID-19 case chart oscillates back and forth. It would appear that the pandemic is slowing down as metric cases for states are also decreasing. But regardless, the pandemic has really taken its toll on humans and all sectors and, of course, striking shocks on global economy. The United Nations has raised concerns that the pandemic is striking at a very delicate period when the world is dealing with poverty and hunger. It estimates, for instance, that COVID-19 may trigger as much as between 83 and 132 million hungry people by the end of 2020, thereby presenting a setback to global efforts to reach zero hunger. Now, the agricultural sector is driving Nigeria's economic diversification policy and has been an investment priority for the federal government since 2015. Again, persistent challenges of insecurity, low level of mechanization, and more recently, COVID-19 pandemic have ensured that the gains score poorly in the attainment of the self-sufficiency target of the federal government. Now, northern part of Nigeria has comparative advantage in livestock farming and was also greatly affected by the no movement restriction. Most of the country's livestock and food crops needs are exported in country, that's from state to state, from the region. Now, the Northern Governors Forum, NGF, is a collaborative, non-partisan regional response to challenges of development in that part of the country. The leadership of NGF and, of course, the national president of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria joined me this week on Late Edition to discuss agricultural security in the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as other allied development matters. I am Claire Adilabo Abdul-Rasak, thanking you for joining me. Right Honorable Simon Bako Lalong is an astute politician, seasoned administrator, and a consummate gentleman. He's a lawyer with almost 3 decades of experience and obtained his bachelor's degree from the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria and master's in law from the University of Jos. Now, as a lawyer, Dr. Bako held several positions of authority and trust, including Assistant Secretary, Nigeria Bar Association, Plateau State Chapter. Propelled by hard work and dedication to excel, Dr. Lalong was managing partner of a legal firm before establishing his own chambers. As a politician, he represented Shandam constituency at the Plateau State House of Assembly, and that's between 1999 and 2003. He was perhaps the longest serving speaker in the history of Plateau State legislature, having, of course, served for 7 unbroken years. In addition to his sterling leadership as speaker, he was unanimously elected as chairman Nigeria Conference of Speakers and later National Forum of Conference of Former Speakers of State Houses of Assembly. Dr. Lalong was instrumental in the enactment of very many landmark laws, which culminated in establishment, of course, people-friendly development infrastructures in Plateau State. He contested a 2015 governorship election on the platform of the APC and won. He was re-elected in 2019 for a second term. And to cap it all, Governor Lalong was unanimously elected in May 2019 as chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, a non-partisan platform to engender peace, security, and sustainable development in the northern region. My second guest is architect Kabir Ibrahim. He's an architect and an established farmer. You may be wondering why an architect decided to be a farmer. Well, he has a bachelor's degree in architectural science from the Ahmadu Bello University, also from Zaria, and a master's degree in project management. He was a lecturer at the Katsina State Polytechnic and also managing director and CEO of a group comprising multiple food and confectionery firms. So now you know where I'm driving out. Architect Kabir Ibrahim is an astute politician. He was chairman APC Congress in Jigawa State. He was an active member in the 2015 campaign committee of President Muhammadu Buhari. He also served in various political capacities, including Secretary APC Congress Lagos, member APC Primary Ogun State in 2019, and is a 7th member of the Buhari Support Organization, BSO. He is a member of many professional bodies, including Nigeria Institute of Architects and National President, Poultry Association of Nigeria. Your Excellency, let me welcome you warmly to Late Edition this week and to thank you for your patience with me. And also the President of Farmers Association of Nigeria. Many thanks to you for coming. Let me start with Your Excellency. Yes. We understand you are known by your people as the alert governor. Just give us insight. What context you are referred to as such?
Well, thank you very much, Claire. And let me also once again recognize my president of All Farmers Association, because I'm also a farmer. The president of Nigeria is also a farmer. We're all under him for that association. They started calling me Governor Alert when I came in as a governor. And when I came in as a governor, you remember Plateau was a no-go area. In terms of crisis, there were crises here and there, people fighting themselves. And above all, the last administration left areas of salaries of over 9 months. 9 months for salaries and 7 months for pensions. So because of that, gratuity, that one was nowhere. Nothing was moving. And then the whole civil service was on strike. So nobody was working. And then with this crisis, you needed to, a governor will have to think out of the box. Mm-hmm. So what I did was that the president, when we ran to the president for bailout, the president gave a bailout, and I realized that the bailout was not going to go anywhere. And what I did, I said, look, for the first time, let me introduce something. I must borrow money and add to that bailout and make my people happy. So what I did was to get some money, get it to them, and we paid almost 5 to 6 months' salaries at once. And so when we were paying that salaries, and that's why they call it a lot, the bank said no, they will not be able to pay at once, but then they were paying in bits. In bits in such a manner that you will see a lot today. Then after a few hours, see another alert. Or tomorrow, see alert. And so the alert was going almost 2 or 3 days. So women were running helter-skelter. They say whether it was right.
Why women, Your Excellency?
I say women because some old women even ran to me with chickens when they saw it, because they were collecting pensions for their late husbands. So everybody was seeing that. So if you go to Plateau, they will tell you, somebody will ask one civil servant, did you see alert? As he was showing another alert will come in. So it now became Plateau the home of alert.
Interesting.
So at the end of the day, I just went to a function and I saw civil servants all gathered together. And before I knew anything, it was not my name. Again, they say, Governor Alert, Governor Alert, Governor Alert. So
very interesting, Your Excellency. Let's get down to the main issue for today. What is, I'm sure you know you are here in 2 capacities as chairman of the Northern Governors Forum. So whatever your response will be, will escalate to the Northern region.
Exactly.
So share with us what, today we know lifestyle as new normal. Nothing is normal, in any sector. So in the agricultural sector, what is the new normal with regards to COVID-19?
Yes, let me say that for us in the North, we'll be very, very happy, because one thing that gingered us in agriculture is that we must know that the North is an agrarian region. And when we came on board, the passion of Mr. President in respect to agriculture was very, very interesting, not only interesting, but encouraging. And so Mr. President was always drumming it. It was, look, what are you people doing with agriculture? What are you doing with agriculture? Let us go back to agriculture. So when they were dishing out the palliative, that is the issue of bailout, he was reminding us, some of us, that look, if you use this money very well, you will not be talking of coming to Abuja for federation account. You people can make something out of it. And so we started that in the north, and we started that kind of creating opportunities in the north before even COVID-19 came in. And so when COVID-19 came in, we now realized that we are in a new normal. New normal because many things that we were doing are not the same. COVID-19 also came with its protocol. Restrictions of movements here and there, even farm equipments and implements coming in, there were restrictions. Even farmers moving into the farm, there were restrictions everywhere. So everybody was looking for survival out of COVID-19. And we all realized that if we all go with this fear of COVID-19 and abandon agriculture, the next thing will be dangerous. That is hunger. There will be poverty and hunger. A lot of our economy in the north is agriculture. It's on agriculture. Now, if we allow this fear of COVID-19 to keep us away from the economy, from agriculture, it will be dangerous to the north. And so we realized that, and I started gathering all the governors. We had a meeting, and all our emphasis was always on agriculture. So we went back to Mr. President and we told him. He said, well, in the South, they will be talking about other aspects of investment in the economy. But for us in the North, if we take away agriculture, we are dead. So definitely, we cannot fold our arms and sit like this. And that time, we had the challenge, too, of crisis everywhere. Because if you say you are talking about farmers, you must provide conducive environment for farmers to go and farm. In some of the states, the bandits were not allowing them to go to farms. So we emphasized on provisions for security, and also the restrictions were getting too much. And once in a while, we go to Mr. President, ease down, allow movements of goods, because that will also open the have some improvement on the economy. And so while we were doing that, it was all over the north. And then we were linking up with also the Minister of Agriculture. And a lot of issues were brought in. Some of the stimulus from openings from the Federal Minister of Agriculture and also the CBN. So all of us now agree that whatever will come out in respect to agriculture, all the governors must quickly pull together and key into it. So as it is now, almost all the governors have keyed into one thing or the other. So
really, the fear about COVID-19
yes.
disrupting the agricultural system or calendar in the north,
yes.
does not hold water.
No, for now it doesn't. For me, it doesn't, because actually what we were afraid of was the disturbances by insecurity, because bandits were not allowing in many of the places. Farmers, herdsmen fight. Those ones were disturbing farmers from going back to farm. And then the restrictions that you should not move people, there will no crowd, and then also restrictions in respect to movements. And then, of course, transportation of the farm produce was also a problem, because interstate movements were restricted. So if they were restricted, how will a farmer, because some of these items were perishable items. If you leave them without transporting them, they will be destroyed. And so how do you encourage the farmer? And what kind of palliative are you going to give him that will last him long, better than his farm, as far as he is concerned? So if you don't allow them to farm within a period, the farming season will be over. And then we get back to the dry season. And you are talking of periods where there will be no palliative. Even the palliative was not enough. So to an average farmer in the north, he will prepare to reach the COVID-19 protocol to go to his farm. So when we realized that, we started easing down making appeal to Mr. President to ease down the lockdown. First of all, I think farmers were given priority. We said farmers should be allowed to go to farm. farming is not something that will be crowded. So allow them to go to farm, and then with limited restrictions in terms of protocol. So we did that in my state, and we also...
I will come specifically to Plateau to ask questions on Plateau. Let me bring the president of all the president of all farmers now. You know, Michael Jordan, you know, the former basketball player, said something very, very, you know, I like. He said, if you meet a brick wall, you know, you don't turn around and chicken away from it, you know. He said you either walk around it, or you climb over it, or you walk through it. So with regards to the ravaging pandemic, how are your farmers, your members, going about it?
There are many ways. As His Excellency said, in the beginning it was very hard for everybody, but you know, this pandemic was global. Whatever you did was right, because nobody alive has really witnessed a pandemic of this magnitude. So it was understandable that movement of all persons was not allowed, so that you would not have a spread in the community. But as time went on, it was also very clear that if the farmers are not allowed onto their farms to do what they know how to do, there may be a bigger disaster lurking somewhere, because hunger would kill even faster than COVID-19. So the governors, the president, all agreed to the need for farmers to be allowed to go to their farms, and for inputs and produce to have seamless flow into the areas of need.
Are farmers immune from COVID-19?
No, they are not immune. But the NCDC brought out a protocol, what you needed to do, and then we sensitized the farmers that, look, you need to abide by this, because if you are sick, you cannot even farm. And if you cannot farm, you cannot eat. And if you cannot even farm, you will not be able to pay anything for your wards and all that. So it was a catch-22 situation. Either you sat at home and covered yourself and died in the house, or you come out and die if, God forbid, you are attacked by the virus. So I think our geography, Africa, and our experiences and our resilience and all that on disease, and the vaccinations that we have had on many, many diseases that are, you know, peculiar to Africa, made it possible for the Nigerians or the Africans to do better in the face of the pandemic. If you notice, up to today, we do not have up to 1,000,000, 1,000 people who have died out of, you know, from COVID in Nigeria. So it was a very good thing. God is very wonderful. He understands our problems, and we were given some respite. So, I mean, that is from God. Now, as human beings, what we did was, we had no option. The farmers met a brick wall, and of course they went around it. And they went to their farms, and we are hopeful that there will be a bumper harvest. There will not be hunger in the true sense of it. Even though we have these calamities of flood, we have a lot of insecurity and all that, but in spite of all that, the effort from the farmers is really yielding results.
Your Excellency, now, you heard what he had just said, and agriculturists have also warned of imminent food scarcity. That is, if sub-national governments, that state governments, do not provide adequate support to farmers, and of course strengthen the agricultural infrastructure. Is agric a priority for your government? Is it on the, what we'll call, exclusive list?
It is. It is, and most farmers, for their determination this year, in spite of the pandemic. In Plateau State, we contracted a farm from UK to do economic assessment of the state, and they brought out and said agriculture should be #1, minerals, solid minerals #2, and tourism for Plateau. So we picked 3 things. So as far as we're concerned, with good security in Plateau State, agriculture is a priority. It's a very big priority. And so for Plateau, for a typical Plateau man, first of all, even if he's a civil servant, number one, he must do something behind his backyard. He must have some small thing to do. And then it is not only today. So many years ago, you find a lot of things in Plateau State. Plateau taking advantage of the river basin, Plateau taking advantage of so many things that the federal government did. So agriculture for us is a very big priority. And so when we were going to do that, we place agriculture on the front burner. And that is why you will see me in Plateau State going back to buy things like back farms. Back farm for several years, more than 30 years, has been a subject of dispute. A very big, the biggest farm in Plateau State, which was sold out to somebody. But I'm very happy that the person eventually sold back the farm to us. And then we had the ASTC, agricultural outfit, that is one of the biggest in the north today, with so many tractors, equipments, and everywhere, which was left abandoned. I brought it back live again, so we can go on and on. And I was one of those to key into the ranching policy, the national livestock thing. And I've thanked God that Plateau is one of those one of the three states that have been picked by federal government for pilot scheme. So we are ready for that. We have 75,000 hectares of land waiting for kickoff of the national livestock production. So for us, agriculture is a very big priority to the people of Plateau State.
I'm wondering, President of All Farmers, what exactly is the hindrance? Because a lot of people still talk about smallholder farmers. So what is the hindrance to large mechanized farming in this country?
Technology. The investment in mechanization is very high. And our technology is not ripe for internal production. We have to import some of these equipment. But we always advise that the potential of science and technology, especially the technology incubation centers, should be harnessed so that the implements in some of these equipment can be manufactured locally. And then smaller versions of them can be done so that the so-called small-scale farmers will now replace human power with machine power, and therefore more productivity. And this is how every country in the world evolved. Because if you look at Brazil now, Brazil is almost among the highest rated agricultural hubs. But many years ago, they were adjudged poor. But necessity and really working very seriously and assiduously to improve the living condition of the people has put them where they are. And then you can see that this country is trying to borrow $1.1 billion worth of equipment that will come in kind. So for you, mechanization will be brought here. But you know, for the tractor to work sustainably for a number of years, there are many things that you need to change. And the technology to be able to have those things made here is very, very important. And
are you aware of the tractorization that in Plateau that the Excellency has talked about? Because it's your members that are...
He is even underplaying the effort that he's making in agriculture. Do you know, I get more calls from the Plateau on agriculture than any other place here. In fact, I would say something here that probably he doesn't know. There were times that I spoke with him, he didn't know I was the one. You know, our political inclinations made us to be able to speak with each other. There was a time he really waded into a very serious problem that arose from, you know, the activities of some unscrupulous farmers. He killed it. He didn't get out of that confinement, and we are where we are. And even though, you know, everybody in Nigeria thinks that Benue is the food basket of northern Nigeria. I want to say that it will be a tug of war to get that from, to get it out of Plateau. Because,
oh, really?
Yeah, because you see, in fact, we came in with this idea of allowing farm produce and farmers to move around because of the reports that we got on spoilage of vegetables and potato from the Plateau. Because there were heaps of them and they couldn't bring tomato and potato to Abuja, Kaduna, or down south. And most of it is actually produced there. And a lot of it, there are improvisations of mechanization to upscale the production. So for him, with the encouragement that he is giving people, the government is doing its own part, but individuals, farmers, are also keying into, you know, either helping human power with machine power or absolutely allowing machine power to do the work for them. And that is why that mechanization is not just tractorization.
Yes.
Mechanization is a gamut of many, many things. You replace human power with machine power.
How much of machine power is driving agric in Plateau State, and what is the access like for, you know, farmers themselves, individual farmers, you know, group farmers and all that?
Yes, I told you earlier that we had a company set up, ASCC, Agri Mechanization, with huge investment, but unfortunately later abandoned by the past administration. So we are doing our best to revive the company. Now, in addition to that, when I came in, I saw in agriculture, you can use agriculture to empower a lot of people. I started my youth empowerment with agriculture. And today, providing skill acquisitions for some of them. The first boy when the federal government introduced SME, the first boy who manufactured a tractor was from Plateau. One Malo, he picked the price here, a car. The federal government gave him a car. Today, that boy, in the next year, he produced a car. Last year, he produced a car. And through this empowerment scheme at SME, another one developed a mouse for the blind. He again, in the next year, he picked the price again, and this year somebody again picked the price through that empowerment of the youths. And so a lot of them are into agriculture. Now, when we did that, we are now expanding it. That propelled me to even build additional craft schools. I will call it technical schools. We had one technical school. That's where those boys came out from, in Jos. Now, because of that, I said, because of this level of encouragement, I have built 2 additional technical schools in 2 zones. One in the other zone and one in the central zone, one in the southern zone, one in the central zone, because technology is now the game. And if you don't go along with technology, you will be far behind. And with emphasis, my people came, anchor borrowers, all of them were one of the first to key into anchor borrowers. Today, when they were talking about tractors, it was Mr. President who commissioned the tractors in Plateau State. We said we are going to buy tractors. They said they don't have tractors. We produce tractors. In addition to the one we had at the Agri Mechanization Center, we produced tractors. We bought about 400 for them, and they brought the tractors, and he commissioned very big tractors. So everywhere the farmers were very happy.
Are they subsidized?
Yes, we subsidized the tractors for them. We subsidized the tractors for them. So they had subsidy on the tractors. So our federal state government was to subsidize. We did the subsidization. We subsidized the tractors, and we gave it to them. They were very happy. Again, there's one name they call me because they said they don't want to call me Governor Alat. They call it Farmers Alat. On their own, when they have an occasion, they say, no, we can't call you Governor Alat again. We call you Farmers Alat. Okay,
let me put you on hold, Your Excellency, and the President of All Farmers Association. We will just take a quick short break, and then we'll come back for the concluding part of our conversation. You're watching Late Edition. This week, we're looking at agricultural security with specific focus on the northern part of the country. And my 2 guests are very distinguished gentlemen, the President of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria, and of course, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Plateau State and Chairman of the Northern Governors Forum. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
There is a lot of fake news and report circulating, especially on social media, on the coronavirus. Do not believe or partake in the spread of these fake reports. If it is not on the official website or news from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disregard such report. Only together can we beat this virus. Only together can we overcome this pandemic. Follow the instructions and guidelines provided to combat this virus. Most importantly, stay at home. Self-isolate, regardless of your status. The virus doesn't move unless we move. Let us work together to better Nigeria. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
All right, welcome back. This is Late Edition, and we're discussing agricultural security amidst COVID-19 pandemic. Your Excellency, let me come back again. Earlier on in our conversation, the All Farmers Association president talked about losses, harvest losses, potato, getting spoils and all that. How are you addressing those, that issue?
Yeah, I think we're set up machinery to address those issues before COVID-19 came. However, we are not discouraged because we are still going on. What I did was, anywhere I saw a very giant step in agriculture, I was always sending my people there. First, when I saw Jigawa and Kabir producing rice, I sent my people there. I said, go and study what they are doing. The governor of Kabir is aware. They went to that place. In some of the states, even some part of the south, if I see anything on agriculture, I will send my people. I will tell them, go and study and come back. Plateau, we have especially, we're giants. I will say we're giants in exotic fruits. And exotic fruits are perishable goods. We have priority on potato, which we've now processed and we're preparing for export. Because the mandate is that we must start exporting, mandate from federal government.
Alongside any value chain?
Yes,
with
the value chain, because that is with the value chain. And today, if you go there, with the potato value chain, if you see women in Plateau State who have made a lot of things out of the value chain. So, and then other crops, in even potato, which is now area of emphasis, we have the tissue culture ready. We have the tissue culture in respect. Today I had a conversation with the ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago, who said they wanted yams and tomatoes. I said, yes, you are in the right place. If you want yam, you get it in Plateau. Just have an understanding with us. And it was because of the emphasis on agriculture that we're also talking of export. And if you are talking of export, you must also be prepared for, the airport in Plateau is designated as International Cargo Airport for agricultural produce. But it was not used. So, but now we're preparing very soon, as we get a lot of this produce for export, we'll start using the airport. That was why we established an inland container port near the airport. So it was abandoned, but we've gone back to Federal Ministry of Transport, and we're reviving it so that we can have the inland container dry port, which will also help in tourism. Because when you have these two, you are also combining it with tourism. So in terms of those things, we're looking for partners to set up industries, processing industries. You know that in Plateau, we are taking potatoes. Even during this COVID-19, it was something. I had a lot of people shouting, we can't see potato again from Lagos. Some of the governors were saying.
But the price, if you go to the market, the price of potato is quite high, except that now the price is crashing down anyway. But it's usually very expensive. If we have enough supply, you know, and the prices are still expensive. I don't understand the logic.
No, I don't think it was only only
No,
potato.
but usually,
Well, I think my president will answer that better.
Let me come in here. You see, you know, I like to be emotional sometimes. You see, farmers before the present interest in agriculture, we never really got what they deserved from what they produced. So a lot of the times now you say things are expensive, soaring prices of food items and all that. But you are forgetting that there is the dwindling fortune of the naira. Your salaries are the same. The value of the naira is way down. Today it's about, even in the bank, is almost 400. Outside in the market, if you go out, it's about 400 and something thousand. Now the guy who produces potato will not only eat potato, he will also eat other things. So he will need to get value for his potato to be able to compete, purchase. So and then again, I don't know. You don't like traveling, but if you travel, you see,
I didn't say that.
Three of us here will spend $100 in a restaurant in the U.S. What is $100 when the exchange rate is 460 naira? It's 46,000. How much is a bag of rice even in Nigeria? So when you look at it, and you know, I'm because I'm a farmer and because I'm doing it as a business, I am irked when people tell me that this is expensive. It's not expensive. You are buying value, not price. You must have a clear distinction between value and price.
Okay, I want to again return to His Excellency. I understand that Plateau State is diversifying into other, you know, areas like wheat and barley.
Yes.
Yeah. So, how might this boost the state's purse?
Well, it was already there. Wheat and barley were there. It's just like to say somebody came and he said, look, I want to start producing. I say, you are not starting. You just say you want to revive flowers. He said, I want to start producing flowers. I said, when you tell me that you want to start, it's as if people are not producing flowers in Plateau State. Because in the 70s, they were exporting flowers from Plateau State. The history is there. So when you talk about barley and wheat, and somebody saying you are bringing, you are reviving it, because it used to be there. Provisions are there, they grow very well in my state. And so the only thing was that people were running away from it. Petrol, I think that petrol was part of the problem that caused us this problem. Because over-dependent on petrol, people now move. They didn't care to invest in agriculture. But today, I think COVID-19 has taught us great lessons. Yeah. So nobody will be talking about petrol now. There is high competition. I must say, I'm very happy within us northern governors now. High competition on issue of agriculture. Because if this one is doing this one, the next one, this one is struggling to beat the other state on this one, on the other item. So we're not talking about petrol again. Even when we have petrol now in the north, but nobody is concerned about petrol.
Plateau is a pilot state for livestock transformation plan.
Yes.
Give us a sense of the state now. Is it addressing the objectives it sought to address?
Very well. Very well. If you look at Plateau, and the research has shown us that livestock production was what engineered the setting up of the NVRI, the National Veterinary Institute, the biggest in West Africa. And why did they set it up? It was for livestock production. It was taking care of the whole country. It was taking care of the whole country. A very big institution. Recently, even the advantage of setting their laboratory helped us in COVID-19. Because when they were asking for setting up of laboratories, I told them, go to VOM and look at what is there. And immediately they go there, they say, no, this is wasting. And they set up the testing center, which helped us in Bauchi, Gombe, Adamawa, and others. We are coming to do the test there. The weather is so beautiful that for animal production, they were getting Madara Limited, by the late General Umar Yaradua, was set up in Jos. I think they were producing pig milk, not Umar, sorry. Umar was the president. Shehu Yaradua set up that company. And that company had employed a lot of people. Today, if you go there, there's an example of a ranch. There's an example of a ranch by another general, retired general, because there was a ranch there. We have, Plateau State government has a ranch.
But part of the objective was also to address issues of
But insecurity, yeah,
yes.
insecurity. We came in and we saw that people were fighting, herdsmen were fighting with farmers. Why was the fight? Because each one was competing on space to rear animals and also farmers, so that there will be no conflict on movements here and there. And we said, no, we must address that situation. You remember that it didn't take me about 6 months to address the issue in Plateau State. And all of them agreed that we must find a way. First, to protect the farmers and also to protect the herdsmen. Not to say that all of them should leave. In either case, I can't drive the herdsmen because we need meat, we need milk. And I can't drive farmers because we need their food. And all of them also need each other. They know in a typical farming, all of them need each other. So when the issue of the advantage of this thing came, I keyed into the ranching policy.
What's your evaluation of it?
Well, as in LLTP, I participate there as an architect. So I also look at it from the perspective of value addition. The pastoralist or pastoralism has come along with it a depreciation of the value of the animal, because it is always gallivanting around to look for food, water, and all that. And by the time it reaches its destination during a farming season or a season, it arrives to its destination probably in a skeleton form. And then it does not even give you sufficient milk. So when you semi-sedentarize them, you get value in the meat and you value in the milk. And even in production, that is how they sire, or they calve, the calving, if they are large ruminants. So it's a very welcome development. At first,
my question is specific to the states that are already implementing, the pilot states. How do you evaluate the progress?
The progress is even more in another state than his. You know, we were working on the Gongoshi ranch in Adamawa State.
Yes.
We have already captured everyone that has encroached in the ranch or in the grazing reserve, and we had submitted schemes, plans on what to do and all that, and implementation is the only thing left. And even in his own state, it's you know, 100 billion was set aside to help them to start this thing. I think what is holding the program from taking off is financing. We want to look at the possibility, and as the chairman of the Northern Governors, I'm sure he will ask the president's office as to the position of the funds, whether the funds have been touched or whatever. Once the funds are there and they are given to whosoever is driving this, these things will come on board, and it is high time they came on.
What is the major concern now of your members?
In terms of conflict between us and the herders, it is almost non-existent. Other factors have come in to make it look like still there. But what we have actually is banditry. These people are, in fact, they're enemies of the herders as well as the farmers. So, but because, you see, I will take you back. You know, when you look at the pastoralists or the herders and the farmers, we are all members of AFAN. You know, we had a program here. The main driver of the NLTP had a program here. We did it in Bolton White from the Klingendel Institute in Netherlands. or Switzerland, or they came down here. They trained us in conflict resolution and all that, how to live together and all that. And they even gave us certificates. We got our leadership in some of the frontline areas from Afan and from Yeti Allah. We all sat together and we modeled negotiations and all that. And believe me, we have an understanding now on, how to resolve issues between us. Okay, so because let me tell you, as a child, I was a child farmer. At 6, 7 years old, I used to escort my father to the farm on horseback. I was always put behind the saddle when he went to look at what was happening on the farm. And outside the farm, there were huts of animals, of the herders, with their animals waiting for us to harvest our crop and for them to come in and eat the residue, and for the animals to defecate there, and we'll use the droppings as
But that is not the only challenge that is peculiar to farmers in the northern part of the country. We also have flood, environmental issues, and all that.
I would like to come to flood because you have brought it now. You were here, we had a program on this in February. The NIMET advised us on the possibility of flash floods and all that. Now, good science has made these predictions possible. And whenever we are going to even semi-sedentarize the farmers and their the herders and their grazing areas and all that, we will take care also to put them away from the flood-prone areas.
Okay.
We will do that, and then also for our farmers to also not plant along the yes. So and these are things that are happening every day, and these are issues that arise.
Are you also receiving extension services? Are your members also receiving extension services? You see,
extension service in Nigeria needs propping up. No doubt about it. But many improvisations are coming in. Have you heard of digital green, digital extension, where I will charge him now when we go out. In Plateau State, what you do is if you want to popularize anything like this potato production that is, get it into a movie. All the pros and cons in the production of potato. And beam this to the farmers. Create or reactivate the TV viewing sheds, which are all over the place. And make sure that you have these mobile vans that show these videos or films. And then you will now be able to teach the farmers, in large numbers. Because in their past times, they come in and watch these things. And these are also possible. And then again, the teeming young people who are not employed, look at those empower people, look at those, and you get all of them to understand what happens in certain competencies. It's not possible for you to have the expertise to be an extension worker on all the commodities. We must have specialization if we want to attain or achieve good results.
Okay, Your Excellency, because we don't have much time, yes. I'm going to ramp up 3 questions in one. First of all, I'd like you to tell us briefly what you intend to do with the back farm that you have, reacquired. Yeah. And then secondly, are you encouraged, as a farmer now, are you encouraged by the palliatives that the federal government, has, of course, extended to farmers? Yes. Respond to these 2, and then we'll quickly take the last question.
Well, thank you very much. In terms of the palliative, I'm sure there are emphasis. The palliative I know that came to my state was in respect to 2 things: inputs, fertilizer, and then the other one was foodstuff that was distributed. We also got it recently, the COVID intervention, and they are not even complete. So we're waiting for them to be complete so that we can start distributing. Them. So we thank those who did the interventions. And then, of course, the issue of what do I do with back farms. Before now, back farms was meant for something. In back farms, we were producing, there was piggery, there was heavy production of maize, wheat, and even poultry. A lot of it, some of them were even all around the country. Just international breweries was depending on it. Plateau State government was also depending. I remember that time in 1979 when there was hardship in payment of salaries. It was a company that was borrowing money to the state government. But unfortunately, the farm went moribund. So I've already done, we've done a sample scheme now for civil servants because we didn't want it to just lie fallow. What we did was a portion of it we cultivated this year and we distributed to civil servants. Most of the civil servants, Nigerian Labour Congress, we say we are going to distribute this one to you. So they have farmed the place for them, payment of just a small, something small. Because people,
how much, Excellency?
It's just 2,000. We just ask them to bring 2,000. And just 2,000 is just to be sure that it's our farm. You know, they will wake up tomorrow and say, no, this is our farm. So it's their own. We say for this year, very heavy place. We did the farming. We did everything cultivated for them so that it will be example and to show Plateau people that now we are back to ownership of this farm. There was joy everywhere in the farm. So for that, I have gone to NALDA, to Federal Minister of Agriculture. Now NALDA, they have revived NALDA. So we're just talking with the new person at the helm of affairs at NALDA to see what we can do with that farm. We've also gone to export processing zone, and they say they've come in. NISAL has also gone into the place. So about 5 organizations have gone in to see what we can do because we want to turn it into a very big mechanized farm. In addition to that, even acquiring additional land because there is one land that is adjacent to the back farms. And that one, they left it, people who are there, I said, if we start using this one, there's likelihood that I will acquire the other part of the land.
I have just
to make it from 5,000 to 10,000 hectares.
In less than 2 minutes, I'm going to ask you one question and the last question.
Okay.
He mentioned something about banditry. How is the NGF addressing that?
Well, we're addressing it because you can see that the intervention of NGF, we first of all had our last meeting was how do we address that? And then there were recommendations that, first of all, some were suggesting dialogue, others were suggesting, no, we can't do dialogue. So there were 2 things. Now, at the end of the day, the NGF, the Northern Governors Forum, agreed to 2 things. In some places, we address the issue of dialogue and also move into the real intervention by security. We have made several complaints to Mr. President. And you know, the last one, when even a governor was attacked, we raised our voices on that because we say if we don't address this issue, especially in the north, our farmers will be affected. Many people, and there will be no economy. Imagine a governor going to a place and then bandits are attacking him directly with the soldiers around. What are the soldiers doing? And that is why we are moving on issue of community policing. In the north, we've agreed to community policing with big emphasis. Of course, I know federal government has also made her own intervention by providing the, what do they call it, this security that goes into the farms, agro rangers. They have made provision for agro rangers. I have them. I have a lot of them and equipments in my state waiting. So what we have done is to do that. So 2 things we are doing. We are not sleeping on issue of security, and that is why you see every intervention. Just 2 days ago, the Northeast governors were there again to meet the president for what is happening in that place. And until you address security in the north, there will be no business. Economy will not move. Okay,
final question. You are an advocate of biotechnology to boost or secure our food security. Can you give us, is that feasible when you consider the myths surrounding biotechnology?
No, you know, we have two opposing, the pros and the antis. I am pro biotechnology. You are probably anti. But the thing is that the good science today has shown that there is no connection between any disease and GM. Okay. I attended conferences in Ithaca, the best university on agriculture, Cornell University, in the 2017 2017 Global Food Security Conference. Professors, scientists from all over the world converged. The antis were also allowed to talk. There are many converts today because we could not establish, nobody could establish a cancer, any connection between cancer and genetic engineering.
Architect Kabir, Ibrahim, I'm afraid I have to stop at this. Thank you very much, the National President of All Farmers Association of Nigeria. Thank you, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Plateau State, and Chairman, Northern Governors Forum. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your patience. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it this week on Late Edition. Thank you for watching. We discussed agricultural security in the midst of COVID-19. On behalf of my production crew, I am Claire Delabo. Bye-bye.